Hey everybody, it's Friday when I'm recording this, right before the weekend, and it's time for the Chainwax Podcast. Today I want to talk about what's best for chains that are like single speed chains and track chains and BMX chains. And basically they have a unique situation that's a little more difficult for lubrication to get way down into the pins. We recommend the chain prep formula and 5311. Let me show you the chain I'm talking about. Here is a typical chain that's used for as a track chain and as a BMX chain. And this is the, let's see, I thought it had different letters there, but it's a 410 S26. This is a titanium chain, and they have a different design to them. The hard part about them is that the tolerances are very tight. So it's got the hollow pins, it looks like. It's got the, for lightweight and stuff. But the tolerances between the side plates is very tight compared to a chain for a derailleur bike, a multiple speed bike, which the chain is designed to flex more. So these tolerances are very tight here, and it makes it very hard to get into the pins below here. So some of the things about it is on a regular chain, you have to get past the side plates and then past these inner bushings that are they're actually part of the side plate. And then the pin is actually between this crack here. So the pin that you can see here that goes through here, to get this pin lubricated, the chain lube has to not only pass through the side plates here, okay, this side and on the inside, then it works its way down into here where you have your roller. And so your roller actually helps push the lube into this little slot here, and that's what gets on your pin right here, okay? Most of the chain stretch is from this area here. That's where it's all occurring. Now, I'm going to jump ahead to why I developed my product the way I did, and and why the other products don't work very well for just even a regular chain, and especially for a track chain, BMX chain, or a single speed chain. The other wax-based lubes that are out there that are in a bottle that you can apply like a regular chain lube, all of them are water-based emulsions. So, I've covered it pretty extensively how you're pretty much paying for 3/4 of the bottle is water. And just to make a water-based emulsion, it's got to be 50% water right off the bat. And then you've got emulsifiers and whatnot and some other things. But, at the end of the day, your 4-ounce bottle of squirt wax is only about 25% wax. And in the past, you've seen other products like Rock and Roll where you've got a 4-ounce bottle. If you let it sit there for a while, when you pick one up at the bike shop, it's been sitting there for a while, you'll see there's about 1/4 inch of white stuff at the bottom. That's your wax, and the rest is solvent. So that is a petroleum product it's dissolved in. It smells pretty bad. The one I had, it smelled like xylene. That would be. I tried a couple of them. I tried the gold and the blue, and they both didn't work very well. For my dust out here, they didn't last long. 10 miles, and it started making noise. So, but other than that one that I'm aware of, all the other wax-based lubes are water-based emulsions. Now, the thing is that the wax tends to stick to itself and, can get clumpy. So if it gets clumpy just by storage, it's going to have a hard time getting past anything like this. And then once it's in there and it dries, it's because it's a water-based emulsion, the new wax is not going to get past the old wax. it's just not going to get past it. So in effect, what you've done is you've sealed in your first application on a fresh chain. You've sealed in the wax into this area here with the pin, and any wear is sealed in with it. So you still have a grinding paste. Now, because it's wax, it's a lot less than an oil product or other products, or a dry lube product like, you know, some of these other ones are sort of plastic based. You know, they're the stuff that they're coming up with. I mean, some of them are silicone based, some of them are basically variations of PET, POFA. There's just different things, but all of them don't redissolve very easily. That's why they all sell you a stripper. Ours, you don't need a stripper. Our chain prep formula shown here replaces the need for a stripper. So this is a little thinner than the lubes itself, and it really gets down into those plates and into past that little line I just showed you between the two bushings and into the pin. So this will reliquify what's in there if you need to do that, especially after a new chain. If you want to make sure the break-in wear is being flushed out, you could do this a couple of times. But I don't do it on the last 3 bikes that had new chains put on in 2023. I've never cleaned the chain. I'm getting tons and tons of miles, and since the lube itself reliquefies itself, it's doing its own flushing just by reapplying. So the alcohol carrier that's in there, it stays wet for about 5 minutes or so while you're working the brush. So you're spending a minute applying it, and then after you've applied it, you're running the chain. So you're just going to cycle the chain, holding the brush to it for a minute, and that's going to push it down in. As it wants to squeeze out, you're pushing it back in, you're forcing it down into these inner depths of the chain, like I just showed you in the pictures. So that's why we came up with the 3-headed brush, to hold the lube in place, to apply some pressure to it and push it in. And that eliminates the need for chain removal and immersing. Even when you immerse it, it has a hard time getting in there. The wax is pretty thick in the pot, even though it's molten. You really got to swish it around to get it in there. So our brush, you know, technique that I came up with it for my own synthetic lubes 20 years ago. It works really well with our product. It's thin enough, it dissolves itself, it gets pushed into this area right there. That's the problem part. It's real easy to get the side plates lubricated, but you got to get past here, down into the middle here, which is here, and then into here to get to your pin. So it's got quite a bit of obstacles there to get all the way in. So our design overcomes this, and it's not hard. You're just going to apply it very similarly to any other top lube, like Squirt or Rock and Roll, but you're going to spend the 1 minute working it in with the brush to ensure penetration down into here, where this pin goes into the hole here, and this is the part you need lubricated through this little tiny slot. And you can see how, like, when your Squirt and other products that you've used in the past, when it dries, it forms a layer that basically seals itself out. So the next applications, you're really just lubing your side plates, because the dust will get in here and wear it away. The dust has a hard time getting into here, but you do have the metal wear of the pin and the plates itself. These are called the bushings, even though it's all one piece here. I remember back in the day that there would be the side plates were a flat piece of metal, and you had these 2 little bushings with the pin. That's just not the case now. Most of them, this is all one piece. The side plate and the bushing is one piece, and they come together with this little slot. It's extremely difficult to get a water-based, wax-based lube in there the second time around. That's why they tell you to strip your chain. We're telling you you don't need to strip your chain anymore. And if you want to flush out the pin, you can use the chain prep formula. But the lube itself does a really good job of doing this. And you'll see that, you don't really need to do that each time. My chain wears in the thousands and thousands of miles without doing any flushing just letting the lube itself do the flushing upon each reapplication. So on another note, it's time for me to redo all my tape sealant on, redo my sealant. I'm going to redo all the tape on my bikes here. And I wound up getting this Cruiser stuff and also a roll of the Goldex. This is on AliExpress. It's way less expensive than, the stuff that you see for sale online. I'm just tired of paying $20 a roll. This stuff has been tested to be very good. $3.79. I don't know. That says pounds there. It was cheap. I think it was about $5 a roll. And I got myself a 25 mil. I got a 27 and a 25 and a 29, and then of the Goldex I got a 31. So I should be able to cover all the different rims for all the bikes. Road bikes, my XC rims are 25 millimeter, and then most of my mountain bikes have 30 millimeter rims. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. The Cruisers is pretty expensive compared to the Goldex because it's only a 50-yard roll. Let's see, 50 yards. I don't know. One of the other Goldex one is a really long roll. I think it's 50 meters, and these are 10 meters. So I wanted to try one of the 50-meter rolls. And if you go to AliExpress and it's your first time buying it, you get your first roll for 99 cents with free shipping. So I would say get the 50-yard roll of Goldex and call it a day. That's enough to do about 30 rims. Probably last you the rest of your life. So yeah, you can get the Goldex 50-yard roll for 99 cents, first time buyer, with free shipping. You can't beat it. Thought I'd share that. Hope that helps. I have spent 10,000 hours trying to take the headache out of this procedure here, and I think nothing still. Almost 10 years later since I developed our first top-off formulas. Perfected them, actually. And I've been developing them since about 2015, I guess, is when it really... That's been the goal, to take the headache out of all of this. And so it was around 2015, I just couldn't do the chain removal for every ride, because I would need to take the chain off every training ride, pretty much every mountain bike ride. It wasn't gonna be the same silky experience of a fresh wax chain. And I'm like, wow, I have to solve this problem. So came up with the top-off formula, invented the top-off formula. People started using squirt as a top-off formula, and I just explained how that seals itself out, and it just dries like paint. It doesn't reliquify anything. It's just a water-based emulsion. There's nothing there to even soften the old wax. And so this problem, I've been working on it. It's taken me about 10,000 hours, and I don't have this frustration headache anymore. I honestly don't even think about it anymore when I'm maintaining them. I just put it on. I know that my product is doing its job, and I'm getting more miles than I ever have with anything else, including all the hot waxes I've used and created myself as well. Make sure you get yourself a chain checker. Get the 3-pin type, not the type with 2 pins at the top. It doesn't do a very accurate measurement. It's pushing the rollers away from each other, which with the roller slop, it can give you an inaccurate reading. It can actually tell you your chain is more worn than it actually is. With the 3-pin design, this pin here, this pin right here, the middle pin, is pushing the roller this way, and then this pin is pushing the roller the same direction. And regardless of your chain slop, your roller slop, you get an accurate measurement between the span of the links, showing an accurate measurement. Now, it's surprising to me how many people don't know this, but on an 11-speed and 12-speed chain, 0.5 is your wear point. you want to change it well before that. And on 10, 9, and 8 speed chain and lower, it's 0.75. But honestly, with our product, I have changed my chains at 0.25, well ahead of any wear beginning to settle in on the cassette and chainring. And, at 0.25, I've usually got 5,000 to 10,000 miles. And on the bike, depending on what bike it is, whether it's a road bike, XC bike, dirt jumper, enduro bike, trail bike, whatever bike it is, I've gotten my money's worth out of the chain at 0.25. And I want to maintain my cassette, so I don't even push it past that. It's 7,000 miles for a $40 chain. You've gotten your money's worth. You can go further, but I'm just saying that my personal experience is my cassettes show no wear by changing them at 0.25. I don't know if that'll be the case if I push it to, say, 0.30 or 0.40 or 0.45. And I know at 0.50 you're really pushing your luck. So don't wait till the indicator tells you it's time to change it. Just change it prior. And the only way to know that is to have something like a Park CC2 gives you a better indication. And there's a couple other ones that are similar. The KMC digital chain checker is also an option. Those are expensive, but you can get yourself a pair of $20 calipers and figure out how to do it and get a really close, accurate measurement below 0.5. So the problem with these chain checkers is they just tell you when it's at 0.5. Now, there is a little room for error. I think that when it says it's 0.5, it's actually like maybe 0.4. So, but again, it's still pushing it way past the 0.25 cutoff that I've given myself for the last 6 or 7 or 8 years. I forgot when I started doing that. But I don't have to buy cassettes anymore. So, something to think about for sure. Now, I mentioned in one earlier about this tire repair stuff, this JC80188. I've got it here. I've taken the little plugs it comes with and put them in my backpack, but I have yet to use it. I have yet to put this on the Minion DHF on my basically my all mountain bike. Has a plug in it that has worked itself loose in the past, and I've just tied it in knots on both ends. I've got to take that off. Once I do the rim tape and everything, I'm going to fix that tire and give you guys an update on this product. But you know what? For $8 on Amazon, I say just get it and have it in your toolkit. JC80188 tire cement is what it is to fix your tires. Once you get a hole in them and you plug them on the trail, you can take it home, take the plug out, and this stuff is supposed to work fantastic on patching, but I've yet to do it myself. So just wanted to update on that. It's been a while. I've been really busy, just busy riding. So I haven't had time to do that deep bike maintenance. But yeah, so I've been waiting to get the new rim tape in, and so that should be in today. So I'll probably get to that this weekend. I guess I hit the wrong button there, but yeah, this has been the Chainwax Podcast going into the weekend. You can't go wrong with the 5311, and just a general rule of thumb, I would apply this every 100 miles, whether you think you need it or not, especially in the beginning. And even more often, the first 4 rides, put it on every ride, the first 4 rides, to get it built up and established in you want all the particles, you want a lot of particles in there that are bonded to the metal. And so there's a little bit that bonds each application, and the first 4 rides, it's pretty well established and seasoned. And then after that, every 100 miles, whether you think you need it or not, is a good general rule of thumb. And it's all depending on conditions and what you're doing. So 200-pound guy climbing 10% grades, you're going to need more. And if you're in the desert and dust and granite dust, it's going to probably be less than that too. But for regular trail riding with regular dust, you can go a long way on this stuff. Plenty of people in their particular environments are getting upwards of 100 miles on a trail bike. this with the Darkmatter on an e-bike is getting up to 150 miles, which is, and more. 180 was what Kevin was saying he was getting on per application of the Darkmatter. And then that was Darkmatter by itself. So one of the magical combinations is Darkmatter and 5311. This works all year round on all bikes. You're going to get exceptional chain lube life, meaning you're going to get a phenomenal amount of miles per application when you supplement the Darkmatter with this, say every 4 or 5 rides, or every 10 rides maybe on a road bike, something like that. The UberClear testing has been going extremely well. I just got some feedback from Idaho, and on road bike, using the UberClear Darkmatter e-bike stuff on a road bike is pushing 150 miles now per application under pretty grueling, at a very steady pace, not just pedaling around at 200 watts, but actually pushing it quite a bit. So yeah, 170, 180 pound rider, pushing it, 125 mile rides. That combo is doing fantastic for bigger riders, putting a lot of torque through. And, the lighter riders are getting 100 to 200 miles on a road bike on this by itself. Plant Power Racing Team is getting a couple hundred miles on their training rides on one application of this, once it's established in the chain. So I think you're going to get fantastic results. Whatever you're using now, you're going to get better results than that. That's the end. Depending on what your conditions are. If you're going to do the same conditions with our product, you're going to see an improvement. So it all depends on conditions, and start with the chain prep formula. This really ensures getting all the stuff out of your chain without any harsh chemicals. You can do it the old-fashioned way if you want, and if you do it the old-fashioned way, make sure you get the chain really clean, and you can apply 5311 straight to the chain if you want to do it that way. But you have to get all the degreaser out of the chain. Any solvent like petroleum-based solvent, kerosene, gasoline, paint thinner, naphtha, whatever you're using, you got to get all that residue off. So, the safest way is Dawn dishwashing. Well, you're already doing paint thinner, right? So, and gasoline. So just use alcohol at that point to get the rest off. You might even need a degreaser to get it off. What I used to do was gasoline, degreaser, water rinse between each one, and then alcohol. Eventually I replaced the degreaser with Dawn dishwashing liquid to get the gasoline residue off, and the paint thinner and all these other, type kerosene type turpentine's another one. But you got to get all that oily residue off the chain, or the wax is not going to stick. So the chain prep formula overcomes that without any of that. That's why I recommend getting a bottle of this. It'll last you a long, long time, and you can use it to maintain your chain and help those inner plates. All right, I'll wrap it up there. Yeah, the new formula of UberClear shown here, doing very well with the Darkmatter. I suggest trying a starter kit at the very least, and from there, get yourself some extra Darkmatter. Comes with 2 ounces of Darkmatter to get you started. It'll last you, the kit will last you about 30 to 40 rides. So, or applications there, rather. So, give it a try. We'll talk soon. Get some rides in, and thanks for listening. Bye-bye.